Okay, thank you so much to the members who've joined today's session. Today being the 26th of September, we are tackling the topic customs duty for importers and exporters. And our partners from KRA are here with us to take us through the customs topic. On call, I can see Joachim and Mandy. Thank you for joining us. I think I want to invite Joachim to start the session. Please hold on, members. It will be a very informative. In the meantime, put in your questions and feel free to give feedback on chat. We will be there monitoring it and ensuring that no question goes unanswered. With that said, karibu sana, karibu Joachim and Mandy.
Okay, good morning, Waruguru. Thank you for this session. My name is Joachim Moasi. I work for Kenya Revenue Authority, Customs and Border Control Department. I'm in the Trade Facilitation Division. I'm here with my colleagues. We have Mandy, we have Rita Susan, and I think there are others who will join as we continue. I want to request that you allow me to share my screen. Okay, thanks. I've seen now I can share. So today we'll be taking you through two simplified presentations on the requirements for importing goods and the requirements for exporting goods. And then we'll handle most of your issues in the question and answer session, especially if some of your topics of interest are not handled during the presentation. So this is a simplified one because this is the first time we're meeting you. So we will not go very deep in the details and will not go deep in jargon. So we'll start with the one on importing, customs requirements when importing goods. Can you hear me?
Yes, you're clear.
Okay, yes. Thank you very much. So I will first start with a definition of importation, and then I'll take you through the requirements. And then going forward, we'll be able to see the issues that you'll be raising so that we can be able to deal with them. Of course, I understand there were issues that you sent through Mendimond, which we'll also deal with as we do the presentation and also in the question and answer session. So to import, basically as a basic meaning, is to bring into the country something from another country. So we are talking about bringing goods and services. Yeah. For customs, we are mainly concerned about goods. So for our purposes here, we'll be talking about importation of goods. So that is to bring something into the country from outside. This can be done through sea, can be done through air, or it can be done through our land borders. So when you're bringing your goods, yeah, from the places that you are supposed to bring the goods from, there are things that you require. And number one, you need a KRA PIN if you're going to be importing into this country, because your PIN is the primary identifier in our systems. But again, we also need to approach a licensed customs agent to help you with the documentation in your importation. We have a list of customs agents who have been licensed by KRA. They're available on our website. But after this, I'll share this with you. We have a link in the presentation that I will be able to show you. Do we have goods that do not require, or examples of importations that do not require customs agents? Yes, there are. Number one, when you're importing across our borders, if you're a small scale trader importing goods worth 2,000 USD or below, yeah, then you're allowed to import and bring the goods without the use of a customs agent, and our officers at the border will be able to do an assessment for you, and you'll be able to pay the taxes thereon. Again, we have this category of goods like courier and post parcels. These are either the post parcels are goods that you import through the post, and then the courier are the goods you import through courier agencies like DHL and FedEx. These ones, the ones that are allowed to come through that are goods of weight 70 kgs or less, or costing up to USD $1,000. In that case, you don't need to do a clearing. You don't need to approach a clearing agent. The courier will do a declaration for you, and customs will verify and approve that declaration, and you are able to get the e-slip to pay the taxes. The other category of goods that you can import without needing a clearing agent is passengers luggage. For example, when you're traveling, you traveled to Brussels, you're coming back into the country, and you have your luggage that you have with you. Now, for those ones, they will come into the country without a declaration. If we find that there are things that you should pay taxes for those ones, the officer at the airport or at the border will do an assessment for you and give you the e-slip for you to pay. So what will your customs agent, or otherwise known as clearing agent, need from you? Your customs agent will need your receipt or invoice, because this is what will guide us in taxation, in knowing what kind of, or what is the value of the goods, which will guide us into what is supposed to be paid as taxes. We'll also need a packing list if it is available. We'll need transport documents. If you're going to be transporting your goods through air or through sea, the shipping line will give you, okay, the seller will organize and together with the shipping line, so you'll be able to get a bill of lading, and the shipping line will lodge a manifest in our systems. But you, because the seller will organize to send you the bill of lading or the airway bill, we will require that, and we use that for our documentation. And then for goods coming into the country, you realize they're supposed to meet the standards of goods in the country. So we'll expect also that you bring a certificate of conformity that is compliance to Kenya Bureau of Standards. And these are things that your clearing agent will be able to guide you, and he will lodge those ones in what is called the Kenya Single Window System, which connects all the agencies that are involved in importation of goods, KEBS, KEFIS, Port Health, and it connects them with our system that is ICMS. If you're importing a vehicle, we'll need a certificate of roadworthiness. Again, you realize that KEBS has an arrangement with inspection agencies in the countries, the key countries where we source our vehicles from, like Japan, where those agencies can inspect the vehicles beforehand, before they arrive into the country. So when you try to purchase a vehicle in Japan, for example, the seller will ensure that it is inspected by that particular company before those goods come into the country. And this saves you from a situation where you bring a vehicle into the country and then KEBS says that it is not roadworthy and it cannot be allowed into the country. And you've already paid for the vehicle and you've already paid for the shipping. And then for goods which are restricted, when you're talking about restricted goods, you're talking about goods whose importation is has conditions. Yeah, for example, if you're going to be importing guns, you need a license for firearms. If you're going to be importing medicaments, madawa, then you need a permit, yeah, from Pharmacy and Poisons Board. If you're importing sugar, you need a permit from AFA, the Sugar Directorate of AFA. So because those ones require licenses or permits, and then alcohol, juices, those are excisable goods. you're supposed to have an import permit from KRA. Yeah. So for those ones, for plants, you need a phytosanitary certificate from KEFIS and all that. So for those ones, again, you need to ensure that you have those ones as you're importing your goods. So what will your customs agent do? The agent will do a declaration for you. Yeah, he will fill an import declaration form for processing, that is prior to the goods coming. And then they will also do now the actual declaration, which enables us to know what is coming into the country and also to calculate the taxes that you're supposed to pay. Kindly note that upon arrival, your goods need to be declared within 21 days. If they go beyond the 21 days, then custom rent, warehouse rent will be payable, and that will add onto your costs of doing business. So payment of taxes. The taxes are calculated automatically by the system, but that is based on the information that the clearing agent has input in our system. There was a question that you guys had raised to Mandy, asking whether taxes are uniform. No, they're not uniform. Taxes are paid according to the kind of good that you're importing. Each good is classified using what you call the harmonized system, and we use what you call the CET, Common External Tariff for East Africa, which prescribes the rates of import duty for the different categories of goods. So goods are classified, so your taxation will depend on the classification that these goods fall under. If I can give an example, if you're going to be importing rice, for example, our common external tariff says that the import duty for rice should be around 35%. So if you're importing rice from areas outside the East African community, then you'll pay the import declaration fee, you'll pay railway development levy, you'll pay the import duty, yeah, you'll pay VAT. That is as per that tariff. But if you're importing from the East African community and you have a certificate of origin, which is the other documentation that you require, then the import duty, IDF and RDL will not be payable, will only collect the VAT. So your customs agent will now provide you with the payment slip, and also the system. Our system also sends an email to you, yeah, showing you what has happened. So the customs agent will give you the payment slip, and you can use that now to pay for the taxes. Once you've paid the taxes, that is the taxes based on what your agent has declared in our system, then we can go ahead and now do verification or inspection of your goods. In most of our border stations, the goods are scanned as part of risk analysis, but we can go ahead and do verification. We can verify normally where we just we open and look at them. We can verify 100% where we remove everything from your container. And this is based on our risk analysis. We have our system doing automatic risk analysis. Our system is called ICMS, Integrated Customs Management System. And then we also have a team called Profiling and Targeting Team, which will be looking at everything that has been declared using some risk profiles. If there's a risk that there might be a misdeclaration and under declaration, then they will go ahead and target your goods for further verification. Once we verify, if we find that everything is okay, we release the goods. If we find that maybe there is something that has not been declared, we will amend that declaration. You will pay extra taxes. And if we find that there was an element of fraud, then we'll go ahead and do an offense where you pay fines for lying to us. So kindly note that apart from the taxes you pay from the customs through the customs declaration as taxes, there are other charges that you are supposed to pay. There are port charges, there are inspection charges by the other agencies. Yeah. So kindly note that those are there, but your customs agent will be able to help you know what you're supposed to pay for the different agencies, to the different agencies. So what happens when we verify and then we find that maybe you have excess quantities, we find some undeclared goods, we find that you wrongly described with a view to fraud or to deny the government of taxes, or used wrong values. Yeah, the goods have been sold to you at 100 shillings and you've declared that they were sold to you at 20 shillings. And then we find from the documentation that it was supposed to be 100 shillings. Then we'll take action. That is the offense that I was talking about. But if now you've carried prohibited goods are goods that should not be brought into the country at all. Those ones will seize. So depending on the kind of offense, your goods might be seized. You might pay additional taxes and fines. And there are instances, depending on the offense, where we can even prefer imprisonment. But basically, the common ones is paying additional taxes and fines. So to avoid that, please remember to declare correctly and to pay the correct taxes and to ensure that you have the necessary permits that you should be having. Kindly note, if you are importing a good for the first time and you don't have information on how things should go, you can request customs to give what you call an advance ruling, where you write to us, you say you're importing this good, you want to know what is the correct classification for that good, so that you're able to declare it correctly. That is allowed, and it helps in trade facilitation. Again, at this point, I'd like to know that we have what is called the Authorized Economic Operator Program, where if we deem that you are trusted and you've applied to us to join that program, then your goods will not be verified when they come in. We have some benefits that we assign to you, but we can organize a different session for that, where we take you through the Authorized Economic Operator Program so that you know how to join, how to ensure that you maintain your compliance status so that you enjoy the benefits which are there. Again, we also have another initiative to enable you to clear your goods as quickly as possible, which is called the pre-arrival processing, where you can send your documents much earlier than the time that your goods arrive and allow your agent to declare your goods under that pre-arrival processing. That will allow us to do the risk assessment much earlier, such that when your goods arrive, it is easy and quick for us to release your goods. I will quickly take you through the other presentation on export processes. Again, it's also a simplified presentation. And then from there, we can now go to the question and answer session. So just a moment.
Good morning, everyone. Mr. Mawasi, kindly confirm you can hear me. Madam Warogoro?
Hey.
Yes, we can hear you, Mandy.
My sincere apologies for joining late. I trust that we've had at least a fruitful presentation so far. Please clarify, Madam Warogoro, we can go into Q&A. Is that where we're at?
Yes, there is a second presentation from Joachim as he prepares. There's a question raised by Felix on the chat. is there a template for calculation of these custom duties? You can share that with us. Maybe the first, is there a template for calculation of these custom duties?
Oh, you can do it.
Mr. Mawasi, good morning, sir, and thank you also for being here. Maybe you can tackle that question before we move into the next presentation. And Madam Warogoro, maybe at the very end, we can also start with some of those 4 questions, the preliminary questions that came in from SME founders, and then we'll now have a thorough presentation, or rather thorough Q&A. Mr. Mawasi?
Thank you very much. That was Felix Munua who asked the question, is there a template for calculation of the customs duties? The only template available right now is for calculation of duties for motor vehicles, which is available on our website. However, our system automatically calculates the taxes once you declare and you've declared your value of the goods. The system automatically calculates that. However, again, if you know the rates for your specific goods, then it is quite easy to do that. I think we can mention that afterwards. But for now, let me allow Madam Rita Susan to take us through the presentation on export procedures. Felix, I've seen your other question. We'll get to it. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. I hope you can all hear me. My name is Rita Susan. Am I audible?
Yes, you are, Rita.
Thank you. So I'm going to take you through the customs requirements when exporting goods. Proceed to the next slide. Okay, so we have a definition of terms. Partner states. Partner states, these are countries that are members of the East African Community, the EAC, that is Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda, Burundi, Democratic Republic of the Congo, and Southern Sudan. Then we have foreign state. Sorry for that. I was giving the definitions.
Madam Rita, just to confirm,
Sorry.
we can still see the presentation on definition of terms.
Yeah, just a moment. Sorry for
All
that.
right, no problem.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, I'm back once again. Sorry for all that. So we were at foreign state. A foreign state is a country that is not a member of the East African Community. Then we have export duties. Export duties, these are taxes that are paid when certain goods, such as raw hides and skins, scrap metal, among others, are taken out of a country. Then we have the definition of export. To export means to take goods or services out of a partner state to a foreign country, for example, from Kenya to Egypt. Then to transfer means to take goods from one partner state to another from
Madam Rita, just to confirm on my end, I'm unable to hear you. Perhaps it's just me. Madam Marogoro, maybe you can confirm whether the presenter is audible. I'm not sure if it's a challenge I'm experiencing on my end only.
Audio. We've lost audio on Rita's.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Let me engage them offline and then we can pick it up. Apologies for that. Madam Marogoro, sorry for that interruption. We have a system, I beg your pardon, a network outage. We have lost electricity and I think that affected the network in Samia, but it's coming back up and we'll be able to resume shortly. I think they might have mentioned it, but our customs team is based at the Samia Business Park along Mombasa Road, Block B and Block C. So in case perhaps anyone would like to visit the team a bit later, you're able to do so there, Mombasa Road. The Taxpayer Services Unit is also based there and can offer assistance where necessary and training. Mr. Mawasi, I see you've been able to rejoin. I'm not sure if that's with your personal phone hotspot or maybe the network is back, but whenever you're ready, feel free to proceed. Asante.
Hello, good morning.
Morning,
Can you
Madam
hear me?
Rita. We can hear you loud and clear. Please proceed and sorry for that
Hello.
interruption. Madam Rita, tunakusikia loud and clear.
Okay, thank you very much. I really wish to request us all to get back. Poleni sana. We are really sorry about the little mishap. It was a network issue. I pray that we will be through in good time. So let me just walk us back a little bit so that we can be able to see exactly where we were at. Okay. It's not responding. Okay. Okay. Yes, so we had just finished talking about what transfer of goods means. This is to take out goods from one partner state to another, for example, from Kenya to Uganda. Customs deals with the transfer of goods, with the export of goods. Now, what do you need to know when exporting goods? Any person or individual or a company seeking to export must have the following. Just like we saw in the issue of importation, even in exporting, you need a KRA PIN. You also must have an export supporting documents, for example, the sales receipt or invoice, a packing list, licenses or permits for specified goods, for example, fish, animals, plants, sandalwood, scrap metal, molasses, sugar, medicines, hides, and skins. And you also need to acquire services from a licensed customs agent who will act on behalf of the exporter. Please note that we have a list of licensed customs clearing agents, which is available in the KRA website, www.kra.go.ke. Now, examples of just a moment. Exports goods clearance process. Before I go there, we have examples of exports that may not require a customs agent. Number one, transfer of goods costing not more than $2,000. For example, small scale items by cross-border traders. Two, we have courier and post parcels overweight less than 70 kilos or costing up to $1,000. And three, personal items accompanying a traveler when exiting the country. The customs officer may inspect the goods before they exit the country. Then we go to export goods clearance process, the declaration. The customs clearing agent is expected to input information regarding the goods to be exported in the customs system and attach the exportation supporting documents. Payment of taxes. The information regarding the type of goods will determine if the export duties will be paid. Once the clearing agent fills information on the goods to be exported, the customs system automatically calculates the export taxes to be paid and generates a payment slip. The customs agent will then provide the exporter with a payment slip to enable payments through the bank or mobile payment platforms. Then we have the verification and staffing. Verification is the physical inspection of the goods to be exported for confirmation against the information in the customs agent provided in the customs declaration system. Staffing is the loading of the goods into the containers and trucks for exportation. Please note that the trucks must be licensed by customs in order for them to be allowed to carry goods for export. Verification and staffing continued, yes. Note, verification and staffing inspection is done by customs officer in the presence of the customs agent and exporter. Verification and staffing inspection can take place within an exporter's facility where the loading of goods is done, or in the same instances at the exit points, for example, for cut flowers. Sealing and release. After verification and staffing of the trucks or containers are secured by the shipper's seal for sea cargo and a customs electronic seal to prevent tampering and for monitoring up to the point of exit. All compliant documented goods for export are then released to the customs officer for the movement to the exit place. Then at the exit, remember that the goods should exit the country within 30 days from the date of the customs declaration. Upon release, the goods will leave the place of loading to exit border points where they are scanned before exiting the country. Then a certificate of export is issued to the exporter upon exit. Non-compliance with exports. Number one, excess quantities under declared goods, declaring wrong weights, wrong descriptions or values may lead to the goods being taken away by customs. This means that customs will seize your goods. Additional taxes, fines, and penalties for payment by the exporter. And of course, we don't want that. Number two, goods not allowed for exportation from Kenya will be detained, for example, narcotics. Number three, exports in unauthorized trucks. The exporter may be fined. These are trucks which have not been granted permission by customs to be able to ferry any goods that are being exported. Then number four, diverting exports for consumption in the country will attract full payment of taxes and fines. This is where goods meant, say, for example, for exporting to a certain country, instead of doing that, they find their way into the local market. Here, of course, you will be fined, you will be taxed, you'll have to pay all the fines, the taxes, and full full force of customs will be on you. So it's better just to make sure that we follow the procedure. And as you have seen, you can see that it is quite a simple process that we are also happy to facilitate. Thank you very much for listening to me, and sorry for the problem with the network. Thank you very much.
Asante sana, Madam Rita. Thank you so much. Always good to train together with you. I think unless there's another presentation from yourselves and Mr. Mawasi, I think we can go straight into the Q&A in the interest of time. And I'm not sure if Mr. Mawasi or Madam Rita, in the background, you have a sample transaction that we can take our taxpayers through, just to give them a practical demonstration of how to arrive at customs duties, applicable customs duties, and in order for them maybe even to be empowered to calculate themselves. But maybe if that's possible, we can do that at the very end. As we await more, yes, Madam Rita?
Sorry, let me hand you over to Mr. Mawasi.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, Madam Rita, as well, always for your sensitization and insights on customs matters. As again, the customs team, the taxpayer services customs team, are based at Samia Business Park, Block B3, Block B3, first floor. In case you have challenges, questions, queries, concerns, you can engage them there. Mr. Mawasi, I was just asking Madam Rita whether is there another presentation, or in the interest of time, we can move into an interactive and an engaging Q&A session and then close, if that's okay.
No, for the moment, we'll just have those two.
Perfect.
But we can plan for other subjects, because you have many subjects. Even this one now, we can go deeper into maybe something to do with the evaluation, how goods are valued in another session. Things to do with tariff classification, because
Yes.
those are the things that determine the taxes. I know a key question in the minds of almost everybody is what are the taxes payable? Yeah, but to know that, it is good to understand how we value and classify goods, so that you are able to see now and know and appreciate how we come to your taxes, how we come to up to the values or the taxes that you're supposed to pay. But basically, I'll tell you that there are different tax bands. There are goods which have import duty at 0%, some at 10%, some at 25%. Then we have others depending on the sensitivity of the goods. There are goods which are even higher than that, like 50%. So they are different goods. So we'll take you through that when you are going through the valuation and tariff, which we request that the SME Founders Association, we can have some other sessions where we can go deep into that. The other thing is, I'll really appreciate if our audience today will be able to be taken through the authorized economic operator program, so that they can see how best, it has a number of benefits and it has expedited clearance. Because I saw one of the questions that was being asked is, what causes the delays? A number of things cause the delays. Number one, if your declaration has issues, then of course there'll be to and fro up to the issue of having the offenses, which will take time. Yeah. So that one will cause a delay. But if everything has been done properly, then for us, within a day of verification, verifying those goods will get out. Thank you.
All right, perfect. Thank you, Mr. Mawasi. So maybe in that session, we can hope to have practical examples. Maybe Madam Marogoro, you can give us 1 or 2 or 3 nature of frequently imported goods or exported goods by your members, and then we'll prepare a more detailed demonstration on the same. I think that's a good indication that these engagements will be going on. But maybe, Mr. Mawasi, even as we wait for additional questions in the chat, allow me to pose 3 to you and your team, and then we can work towards closing. The first one is actually a taxpayer who has just posed the question right now. And again, I know I can already anticipate your answer, that it's the calculations are more complex, but overall, maybe we can give a general sense. The taxpayer is asking, what are the most important things to know before exporting coffee and tea from Kenya to other nations outside Africa? So specifically outside Africa, are we able to give just an overview of the taxes and how to be compliant for those purposes? Mr. Mwawasi?
Thank you very much. Coffee and tea are goods that we value as a country, and we've given them what we call a green channel when it comes to exportation. That means that we expedite the exportation of the same. Now, coffee and tea do not have any taxes payable in Kenya. So basically, the important thing is for you to ensure that you know your market. Yeah, where are you exporting to? And you find the requirements and of that country. And basically, it is the person who is importing from you, your buyer, will be able to tell you what are the requirements for their country. For example, for all plant products, if you are to be sending seedlings to another country, you need a phytosanitary certificate from this country. But basically, your market will determine what kind of documentation you need from this side. But from KRA, all you need to do is just do a declaration that you're exporting those goods, and you bring them to the goods to the place of exit, the port of exit. If it is Nairobi, for example, we have a team called the NEX, Nairobi Exports. Previously they were at Samia, now they are at ICD, where most of the exports are happening. You will just have to have your clearing agent contact us so that we go and supervise the stuffing of those goods, and then the goods will just be exported. For us, we just need the declaration. Actually, for exportation, for customs, the procedure is very simple. And for most of the goods, they don't have export taxes, as has been previously explained by Rita. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Mr. Mwawasi. It's good to know even about the green channel, something that we within domestic taxes are keen to learn more about.
Let me just answer something quickly for Felix. But maybe the tabulation can be done, and we'll take them through the valuation and tariff some other time. But let's assume that Felix has goods that attract let's say 25% import duty, and they're coming from outside the East African community. Yeah, maybe they're coming from China. They attract 25% import duty. They attract 16% VAT. They attract, let's say, 15% excise duty. Yeah, because Felix wants to know how valuation of such a good will be. So assuming you bought these goods at 100 shillings, yeah, the first thing we want to know is now these 100 shillings, we want to get what we call the customs value that we'll use for that. And Kenya, we say we use CIF if you're importing through the sea. That is, your customs value will be the cost of the goods, yeah, plus the insurance, that is the marine insurance of the goods coming, plus the freight. Yeah, that will be the customs value. So assuming it was 100 bob, and you have, let's just assume that the others add up to 50. So your customs value is 150. This customs value will be used to determine what is the import duty. Yeah, so we said import duty is 25% for your goods, then you'll do 25% of 150, you get the import duty. Yeah, then we go to VAT. The way we calculate VAT is now we get, initially to calculate import duty, we're using the customs value. Now we need the vertable value. Yeah, the vertable value is now that customs value plus that import duty that was being collected. So we add that and we get the value, and we apply 16% to that, and we get the VAT that you should be paying. Then you have the excise. Excise will calculate against the customs value. So it will be a percentage, that 15% of that 150. Yeah, we add that up, and we add now the IDF and the RDL. One is at 1.5%, the other at 2.5% of the customs value. So we add all that, and we get the total taxes that you'll pay. We'll take you through that and give you examples when we are doing the sensitization and the engagement on valuation and tariff. Thank you. That is in a nutshell how it is done.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, Mr. Mwawasi. And there's a follow-up question regarding the coffee and tea. She's appreciating you first and foremost for that response, and then requesting you to share the sites of the new, she's saying of new and ICD, the sites, perhaps the location. I'm not sure, Madam Jane, maybe you can clarify. But even as we wait for that clarification, Mr. Mawasi, the 3 questions we received prior to this engagement were the following, and then maybe we can just clarify and close on those and then wind up in the interest of time. We've gone over slightly, but I think at least we're offering insightful information. Madam Warogoro, I hope that's okay. So, Mr. Mawasi, the first question was, when importing, are taxes applicable based on the product, or all businesses pay the same taxes regardless of the product? I think your presentation has already clarified on that. Then I think, again, your presentation has answered the second question we got, which is, I'd love to know how the whole process of importing works and the cost implications to it. And why is it that there are always delays when the goods arrive at the port? Then finally, is there a step-by-step guide for importers and exporters? And what are the required documents and taxes? So is there like a one-stop shop place to access information for taxpayers who are wanting to import and export? Just those 2 questions, perhaps, and then we can wind up.
Thank you very much. I believe the first 2 I had responded to during my presentation. The last one about the step-by-step guide, that one is available on the website, and it will also go further and show you the requirements of the other partner government agencies, the requirements of KEFIS and all that, and you can search that by the goods, and you can search that by the HS code. That is, if you know the HS code of your goods. That is available in our website. When you search for importation requirements, how to import, you'll be able to get that, and it is linked to the Infonet Kenya Trade Portal, so that you're able to get even the requirements from the permits and everything. That one is available in our KRA website. That is www.kra.go.ke. And maybe through Madam Waruguru, we can share the actual link where you can go straight to that. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Mr. Wawasi, much appreciated. So from our end, Madam Warogoro, I think we've managed to tackle all the questions that came in, though there was one last question actually that was more DTD related, domestic taxes related, and it was regarding why companies suffer penalties and interest even when there's no business activity that has taken place. So I'll quickly clarify that a taxpayer, upon registration of a PIN and registration for applicable tax heads other than income tax, maybe additionally VAT, TOT, excise, things like that, value-added tax, turnover tax, excise tax, things like that, they're required to file based on the applicable periods and make any necessary payments based on what they have communicated to the authority. These are mandatory, and failure to do so attracts a penalty, a late payment, a late filing penalty. So if there were no taxable business and no taxable income earned for those periods, a taxpayer was required to file a nil return, what we call a nil return, which is quite straightforward. It's less than 3 steps, or less than 4 steps, I should say, and they just indicate that there was no activities for that period. That saved them the 20,000 shilling late filing penalty for companies and the 2,000 shilling late filing penalty for individuals. So I just wanted to clarify that, and I think hand over back to Madam Warogoro again. Sincere apologies on my part, especially for the delayed start, but I hope we can have additional sessions in addition to the one we have coming up next week. Thank you, and back to you, Madam Warogoro. Mr. Mawasi, maybe you can just touch on the links you mentioned, and then we close. Thank you.
Before she takes over, I've put in the chat the link that you can use, so that you are able to get those procedures. You can search for any product in that, and it will be able to tell you what is required. And then you can send further questions to us using tps@kra.go.ke. I'm also putting that in the chat.
Asante sana. So taxpayers, thank you for your time, thank you for your attention, and thank you for engaging with the authority. I'd like to hand over back to Madam Warogoro.
Okay, Thank you so much, Mandy, Joachim, and Rita. For participants, please note of the link and the email that Joachim has sent. I think there was a question on how we can reach them. The email that has been shared, that is tpstraining@kra.go.ke, is critical. Please take note of that together with the link that has the procedures, the import and export procedures. Maybe a question to Joachim. Is it possible you share with us the presentation you've done today so that we can share it to a larger team that was not in attendance were not able to attend this session? If not, maybe we can I'll reach out to Mandy and see if that is possible. Yes, you've shared the email and contact. Thank you so much. I think we've come to the end. Next week, we have a town hall with this same team. And next week, we will be addressing all issues KRA. So we are trying to create a program for this session. So there's been, I'm going to post a Google form in this call, a link. Please fill in your questions or topics that you want to be addressed next week, because it's a virtual town hall, and therefore we want to ensure that the stakeholders who will join us are the right people that you need for that session. So I've just posted a Google form. Put in your questions, your comments, what you need to know, any issue that you need to be addressed that is regarding your taxes, or the KRA team are the right people to answer. Put it in there as we prepare for Thursday. As well, next week, ensure you join us for the virtual session. It will be another enlightening session, so do not miss it. I think next week, I'm eager to see next week, because the last 4 weeks that we've had, the last 4 sessions we've been building on our knowledge and understanding of what is required of us as SMEs, and what help can we get from our partners KRA. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to have you all here. Thank you, KRA team, for availing yourselves. Tunasema asante, we do not take it for granted. With that said, thank you. Have a nice weekend ahead. See you on Thursday.
Thank you so much, and God bless you all.
Okay.